This is Wayne Garber, partner in Eastern General Realty Corporation. They are a commercial real estate business, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Yes, as Derek said, my name is Wayne Garber. I'm the Vice President of Eastern General Realty Corp. We're a company that owns quite a few communities scattered around the state of Florida, and mobile home and RV park communities. I started out with a degree in animal science, and after about a year in that field, I transitioned over to real estate, where my brother had already had a real estate company in which we decided to specialize in the brokerage of communities and eventually began buying them for ourselves.
So would you say your brother was your inspiration to start owning your own business?
Yes, I would. He was quite successful in the brokerage when I joined with him.
And from the beginning, did you guys decide you would do a partnership, or was that something that came along with time?
I would say the partnership kind of grew because we started out mainly brokering, and then when we raised the capital through commissions, we went in as partners on our first community in Melbourne, Florida.
Okay, and I know you guys have a central location where you hold all your business. How did you go about finding a specific location for that?
That happened more or less because we both lived and worked together, here in Orlando. So it just made sense. And the parks and the communities we worked on were scattered, and it just worked out. Orlando is a central location.
From a marketing standpoint, how did you promote your business, advertise, and etc.?
Well, our business is a really niche business with the mobile home and RV parks. You don't really market yourself as much. Your main goal is to identify the buyers of these communities and the owners, and just target them directly, one-on-one. The owners, anywhere from on-site visits to basically cold calling and introducing yourself. But eventually we transitioned out of the brokerage as we owned more and more communities, and were able to get our sole source of living from those. Stopped brokering and just began to be operators and owners of communities.
And does your communities have websites? Does your company have a website? And who runs those websites? And how often do you maintain them?
Yeah, for a long time we did not have websites. We relied on to market our communities to the folks who rent the lots and live in our communities, and snowbirds and RV people. We relied on journals, magazines that are in our industry, newspapers, then Craigslist. But then eventually we hired a family member on who was very tech savvy, and he did develop websites for our different communities, and got us on various browsers and things already developed for our industry.
And what was his name?
Kyle Honeycutt.
And from a legal standpoint, what kind of licensing was required to start your business?
Well, to manage the properties and charge the parks a management fee, which we do, you have to be licensed in real estate in order to charge the real estate management fees. And then, of course, starting out during our commissions through brokerage, we were licensed to be, in real estate in the state of Florida. But other than that, the licensing is on each different community. It's you need a business operating permit. You need health permits. Various permits and licenses from whatever the local county requires, where your park or city, municipality where it's located.
In total, how many employees would you say your company has?
Our management company, Eastern General, only has approximately, let me count here, 1, 2, 3, about 5 employees. But each entity, each community we own is its own entity, and that each community can employ anywhere, probably a minimum of 2 on up to 5 people to run that individual community.
Okay, and to pay your employees and manage your daily funds, do you guys use any sort of IT, information technology, to manage the money coming in and out of the business?
Yes, early on there was a company, there wasn't many, it was a company called Rent Manager. I believe they originally were out of Colorado. I don't think they're in Colorado anymore. They've grown quite a bit. But when they first started up, they kind of had tailored their program for mobile home parks, which you could input rent rolls, and it would generate different reports, balance due, the names and addresses of each person in the community, their lot. And then what we really liked about it, we were able to have the utilities in there, and it would generate the bill. So if, let's say, you had John Smith on lot 130, it would print the bill out with his name, his address, his lot number, if his mailing address was different, if it was a second home or he had a P.O. box, it would allow for that. And then also it would have an area where it would generate billing for his utility usage, which in our case would be water and sewer, how many gallons he used, and compute what he owed based on his usage. And then in our RV parks, we bill for electric, and it would also do the same for that utility, which was very helpful.
And on a more personal humanitarian level, how do you handle internal and external theft, and have you experienced this throughout your years in the business?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's been something in the business, and also talking with other owners, it's very common, unfortunately. But it's the nature of the business. You're an absentee owner, and if you have empty lots or empty homes, it's quite tempting for a manager to rent those out, report them as being vacant, and him pocket the money. And unfortunately, we have had this happen.
And how do you deal with these situations?
Typically, if we do visits with very short, if any, notice, and these reports are generated by the rent manager, and so we can automatically know when we visit the property which units are vacant or lots are vacant. So then when we walk the property and we see either that the unit is occupied, or in the case of an RV lot that was listed as empty and there's an RV on it, we would then actually go and knock on the door and see if there is somebody there, and if they are, question them, say, how did you pay your lot rent? And typically what happens is, the manager, I gave him cash, and then we know it's not showing up on the books or in the rent manager program, so that they're pocketing the money.
So how do you select your employees, and how do you know that you can trust them?
Some of it's old-fashioned, just judge a character. But early on, we did not run the background checks. But after experiencing theft with somebody we trusted and caught them just the way I described, we had a company who does run background check screening, which we also use for prospective tenants who are going to be long-term. So this comes back, it shows a credit report, any criminal, so that's one way of handling it, and we question any references. It's been pretty successful. You're less likely to have theft when you do that because the person's established an honest track record, but I can say it still does happen, even with all that.
And now, since you're starting to progress in your business, have you thought of retirement at all, and who or how you're going to end the business or pass it on to? Possibly family members, friends, or corporately?
We're getting to the age that we are thinking about that. These communities are very stressful to run. You get a lot of pressure from government agencies such as DEP. Some of our communities treat their own wastewater and also provide our drinking water. So that's always pressure from them. There's always tenant issues and employee issues. And as you get older and with the volume of communities, it's very time consuming because as the owners, usually when there's a problem, we have to directly handle it ourselves. We really don't have somebody that can handle it. So yeah, we have thought about retirement, and I guess the only way to truly handle it there's only two options: either to hire a management company, which is quite costly. They take a pretty good chunk out of your profits, and you still don't have 100% faith that they're going to treat this property as you would, or is to just sell the properties. And we've thought about that, whether to start selling them off individually at some time in the future, or to package it as an entire portfolio and sell it that way.
And I know you and Lamont both have big families of your own, and you have other family members working for the company as of right now. Have you ever thought of passing the business along to any of them?
You know, we've thought about it, but at this point, no one in the family has showed an interest to take them over. It can't be a part-time thing, and it would be a complete commitment to a career and almost a way of life. As I said, each park, a lot of people, is almost like being the mayor of a city, because you do own all the utilities, and you do everything from sales to tenant disputes, to a lot of financial decisions, as well as running the infrastructure, roads, electric, water, and sewer. So there's quite a few moving parts and a lot to it, and it can get quite time consuming. So it would be a pretty big commitment. And so far, no one in the family has showed any interest in doing that. And they would have to work under us for, I would say, a minimum of 5 years to get a really good understanding of the business.
And how has owning your own business impacted your family, both positively and negatively?
I'd say on the positive end, of course, it's provided a good living. We've made a profit and able to maintain a higher standard of living because of the money coming in. It's also opened your eyes because as an owner and hands-on operators, you get involved with not only your managers, but a lot of the people in the communities. And we have all types of communities. We have parks that are working, what we call family parks, all-age communities, and we have retiree parks, which, we have everything from retired engineers living in our parks, blue-collar workers, laborers, you name it. So we've developed a lot of relationships over the years with a lot of these people. Some of them we've actually hired to be managers of our communities and have known for, a decade or longer. It's also given us an opportunity to hands-on help a lot of people. We've been able to help people whether they've been in a tough financial or health problems. So it's been a direct way to give where you have control and know that what you're doing directly helps that person. The negative would be the stress end of it.
Okay, and this is coming to the end of our interview. I would like to thank you for all the information you've given, but I have one last question for you. In one sentence, what is the best advice you could give to someone starting their own business?
I would say the research. Don't go in blind. A lot of our lessons we learned cost us a lot of money, a lot of stress, and a lot of time. If you research what you're going to do and get the background as much as you can, you're always going to make mistakes and you're always learning. As long as we've been doing this over 25 plus years, there's always something to learn. But I would say learn as much as you can. Try to get mentored by somebody, because there is no better way to learn than somebody with experience that can warn you of things to look for and problems that could turn around and bite you in whatever field you're thinking of going into.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Garber. It's been great, and I wish you the best of luck in the rest of your business adventures.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.